Hello, and welcome to anybody who is coming through the streaming service, YouTube or Facebook, to our first webinar on the Climate Action Team Suffolk series of 2025. It's now 5 o'clock. We are ready to go, and we are trying out the restreaming platform for the first time. So for all those of you who are joining us, welcome. For anybody who's watching this on recording, fantastic. I hope you enjoy the session. And this is the first of 9 webinars that we're hosting through, as I say, the Climate Action Team Suffolk, to try and help communities with projects, initiatives, enable them with connectivity with some of the stakeholders, planning, and any other projects and initiatives that they have. And so our first one of the year, January 2025, is BetaStreets. And we will welcome John and Andy today, who are co-founders of this software tool. So BetaStreets is a purpose-built tool or platform to help people design streets and places. And I know that they've been hard at work for the last 3 years developing this platform. And in fact, we have had some usage of it through Woodbridge, Felixstowe and Copdock in Suffolk. So it's not new to Suffolk. And so I'm going to leave it to John and Andy to introduce themselves and then to have a chat about what they're bringing to the webinar, maybe discuss the live demo that they hope to do. Can I just remind you all before I do that there is the chat option. I see that we've got a couple of welcomes there. Please do have a chat or place a message in the chat anytime. We've got our comms member, Izzy, in the background who will collate those and bring them forward as questions or comments as we go through. So welcome, John and Andy. It's lovely to have you here today. Who's going first on the old introduction?
That would probably be me, I'd imagine. Hi, I'm John Little, one half of BetaStreets.
I'm Andy Heather. I'm the other half of BetaStreets. I'm going to hand you over to... Sorry?
2 halves make a whole.
Exactly, just about.
Go for it.
So I'm going to run you through a bit of a slideshow to get going, show you how BetaStreets kind of works, a couple of videos, a bit of background of what we've been up to, as Claire's been talking about in Suffolk already, and then Andy's going to show you a live demo. We'll take some questions at the end of the first sort of stage, and then maybe have a break even after Andy's done a bit of a live demo, and then we're more than happy to take kind of requests from people, be that kind of locations or things you might want to know about how to have a go at designing. Or, of course, if you want to look at somewhere particularly, so we can have a quick look at it and explain the issues that you think might be there or opportunities to make stuff nicer or better, by all means, let us know. As Claire said, if you could do that in the chat, that'd be handy. But equally, when we get to the questions, by all means, jump in and ask if you want to. So I will attempt to share my screen for those who are watching. Let us know when you can see that, and I will start. I assume you all can actually. I don't know if you'll be able to tell me. So, Rural Streets 360 in Suffolk. So just a bit about us, really. BetaStreets was formed in summer 2021 with the aim of kind of disrupting the urban and public realm design industries. That sounds kind of a bit cheesy, really, but we wanted to change the way that streets are kind of designed. And it was, I suppose, crystallised slightly during the COVID periods of lockdowns, where we as an industry were being asked quite a lot, can we change places very quickly? Can we do it to see what might happen? And kept thinking it would be great if there was some software that kind of enabled you to very quickly and crudely almost create a visualisation of how a street or a place could be if change was going to happen. And Andy and I talked about it more and more, and there wasn't anything, so we decided to make it. We think of it as a street design tool for anyone. This means that it enables users to kind of combine photos of the present, or in this instance 360-degree images, with models of assets from our 3D library to create high quality visualizations in minutes. The sort of thing actually that people in our industry would take days and days to do normally, it has to be said. We've made it, as we say, to kind of hopefully change the way that street design is approached, and particularly the way that visualization is used, and actually the way that people are involved in the process too. Again, we try our best to get people involved, and have design meetings and project meetings in community centres and things on Wednesday nights, but not always the most accessible way to do things. Not everyone can make those sort of events, and of course we need to speak to as many people as we can while we're making streets that hopefully everyone will be using. So we kind of think that our design and engagement tool really is the tool that's needed today to build the future for tomorrow, to coin a cheesy phrase. So there's a little bit about me and Andy. I won't go into too much detail about that, but obviously that talks about how great we are. But basically, Andy and I met a long time ago now, working on the London Cycle Hour together. Andy worked in the design team with me, and I kind of led the team that basically put in the first 650 docking stations across London. Subsequently, we went our separate ways. I've become quite well known for collaborative design and coming up with big plans for communities and places, and probably best known for my work with Waltham Forest on the Mini Holland programme, past 10 years ago now, where I actually helped them develop the original bid and the concept that's kind of quite well known in the UK now for being a bit of a shining light. Subsequently, I've been involved in other things in Brixton and Lambeth and Manchester, and more recently actually in Suffolk. Andy, after leaving the Cycle Hire team, went to Transport for London and kind of led their use of visualizations, and again, to kind of leaps and bounds that they've made as an organisation using visualization in consultation and engagement, enabling people to see how some pretty significant projects are going to look and change London, obviously, hopefully for the better. So what is BetaStreets? It is basically a subscription-based product, primarily for use by professionals in street design and public realm and highways, but it has to be said that it's actually deliberately accessible to anyone too. As we said, what we attempt to do is make a tool that isn't like the normal kind of quite technical engineering tools that we use in our industry. So it's kind of got the technical capabilities, but hopefully combined with ease in use. It's a lot of drag and drop and using balls to grab and change shapes, as you can see there, and kind of make your different paving or footway material patterns. You can add things like street furniture, like that cycle parking hanger in, just at the click of a mouse. It enables you to go and find out where things are from and how much they cost. It's also browser based, so it basically means that we can regularly update it, including animating products, as you saw quite quickly there. And just some of the use cases, it's already been used by lots of boroughs to kind of show how things might look if things change. And actually, we had a really successful project with London Cycle Campaign, where they commissioned us to make a kind of purpose-built version for them and their members to use in the lead up to the local elections. We featured on Click on the BBC Tech Show, and everything got quite exciting. And over the past few years, we've built a client base that includes quite a few sort of recognisable places if you know your geography in London and in the UK, and also, has to be said, some quite big names in the engineering and public realm kind of sectors, which is great for us. Not so interesting for you, maybe. So the project trial that we're here to talk about tonight. It's part of the Department for Transport's Rural Transport Accelerator, which has been delivered through an organisation called the Connected Places Catapult. It's kind of an innovation and organisation that kind of supports startups and companies in this country to develop kind of exciting solutions for problems and challenges. And our particular challenge was to focus on improving rural transport, including the user experience, network resilience. So that is the condition of carriageways and how the network works, and of course how it works if and when there's adverse weather or congestion or whatever that might be. Safety, efficiency, access and connectivity. You can find out more if you're interested by following that link there about the Connected Places Catapult and the work they get up to, and more importantly our challenge. But the specific challenge we drilled down onto was how to improve the resilience of the rural road network. But kind of our solution also really addresses rural isolation and individuals who might not often get sort of involved in things because of where they are, and or maybe their own personal mobility, and also better connect urban and rural areas through innovation. So our trial aim was to understand and evaluate how our software can disrupt kind of street design and change the way the community is involved in the engagement, streamlining the process, and issue and opportunity identification, whilst also opening up the concept and design development process, and particularly the stages where we like to get people involved earlier on, deciding what we might do to solve problems or take advantage of opportunities you find on the public highway. So our trial objectives and research questions, and I won't go into read all these out, but basically we want to try and find out how our software combined with 360-degree imagery transforms traffic and transport. That kind of applies on the professional side. So how does potentially our software help council officers and consultants and people who do design understand what people want and actually what the issues are out there? But also actually, how does our software enable stakeholders and people who might normally quite infrequently get involved or never get involved in these sort of things? How do they find that this enables them to get more involved if they so wish? And then to follow on, I suppose, how does that then impact the ideas? And of course, if things are developed collaboratively, we tend to find that they're better design outcomes than if somebody just sits in isolation and designs what they think might be the answer for Woodbridge or Bury St Edmunds or wherever. So our kind of plan for the trial was basically that we would develop a 360-degree version of our software, but with an additional engagement functionality, so letting people kind of comment on things and stuff as well as just draw with it. So we captured some 360-degree imagery of the network of rural roads around Woodbridge primarily, but I'll show you in a moment kind of what bits we've got and how that works, and actually what we've added to as we've gone on. Production of a map-based user interface. So you start with a map where you can start sticking a pin in things and actually host imagery and the BetaStreets app on that same platform. Access to the platform has been given to the council officers, project partners and stakeholders, and so it's a series of exploration and collaborative design workshops, a period of collaborative design, and then kind of some final design ideas that we put together in a report. That was certainly the original plan. It has to be said that the general election coming earlier in the year meant that actually, like all other really projects that might have an influence on how people think about politics, we had to stop. All the project was kind of put on pause for a period of time. So all of the projects were under the accelerator, and we were only really able to start engaging in the autumn, which meant we had to slightly change our plans. But I'll explain a little bit about that in a second, and you will see some pictures that hopefully help you understand that too. So the project partners, aside from us, are Suffolk County Council, which of course is where most of you probably live or work or have an interest in. And obviously they are the project partner because they've allowed us to capture some data on their road network and help host the project. Cyclomedia, a company that specialises in digital imagery and kind of data for local authorities around the world, provided the data or the initial 360-degree capture, and we've worked with them. They're actually a company from the Netherlands. We've worked with them as part of our project too. The project area, so primarily you can see initially the green route, so that was kind of NCM1 from the outskirts, or National Cycle Network Route 1 from the outskirts of Ipswich to Framlingham. Regional Cycle Network 51, which runs from Ipswich to Felixstowe. 41, which is from Woodbridge to Felixstowe and Bordsey Manor, but then also captures some additional parts of the network near Wickham Market, and then the area of green lanes, which is the single track lanes kind of to the west of the A12 near Woodbridge. We also subsequently have captured some additional data in Felixstowe, and actually some like in Copdock and Capel St Mary to help with one of the projects that Suffolk undertook this year. So this hopefully video will show you hopefully how BetaStreets 360 kind of will work for you. So as I said, it's a map-based platform. You zoom in like you do on lots of other map-based platforms to find where you want to be, and then you can actually add comments. So you can write something that either you think needs improving, or actually even add a suggestion, even with a photo of somewhere else that you might have seen where something might something that you've seen might work in Suffolk somewhere. You can add those to the map, and then additionally you can grab an image as it shows you here, very similar to some other map-based imagery you might see on Google or the like, and and basically you can grab items from our 3D library, or library of things as we call it, and then place them into an image and kind of redesign. From there, you can use it for things as simple as it shows you in the image here, in the video here, sorry, placing a bench and a bin at a bus stop. I'm sure lots of people have stood at bus stops out in the middle of nowhere waiting for a bus and thought it'd be nice if there was a bench here. And now is your opportunity if there's one nearby where you think one should be. So then it also enables you to comment on other people's ideas, in addition, obviously, to supporting your own with some text, as you can see is going on here at the moment. These suggestions are then placed on the map, as it says, for other people to see and comment on. Once we've checked that everything all is well with them, we will then upload them to the map. As I say, we hope to report everything back to Suffolk. Part of the idea of the project is that we tell them things people have said, so that it won't be wasted energy as such, regardless of where you're suggesting and what you're suggesting. The software also includes, as you can probably see, all the signs and lines that you need to kind of play with the street. So if you wanted to, suggest maybe a reduced speed limit in your village, or think about how it might look if you add centre line markings to that street and highlight the fact that cyclists use the route, you can do it very quickly and easily, as you see. Adding curbs and the like too, again, there's plenty of help within the app, but it is pretty simple. We've tried our best all the way along through our development to take feedback from users, and hopefully it's just a case of dragging and dropping and clicking, and anyone who uses a computer on a reasonably regular basis should be reasonably okay with BetaStreets once they've had a little play around with it. As I said earlier, the election and kind of not being able to engage in the summer meant we had to slightly pivot and change what we were doing. So we agreed to work with Suffolk to actually support them on a number of active travel projects and the engagement, more importantly, in Copdock, Felixstowe and Woodbridge. So this meant, first and foremost, that we went out and actually captured some additional 360-degree imagery, and actually did that on a bike with a 360-degree camera up on a pole, and rode the cycle route or wherever it is that we're talking about, and captured all the imagery needed for people to then have a go at designing and identifying issues that they might have experienced living there, and obviously being the local experts. We launched at the Tour of Britain at the final stage in Felixstowe, which was a great way to kind of announce ourselves to some of the people who we hoped would get involved in the project. Again, it was more of a soft launch, but then quite quickly after that, we started attending events. So this is one in Felixstowe, and this is a group of residents looking at an area near a school. And then a slightly younger user who came along and actually started designing the street and adding lots of play and fun stuff into the streets near the school in question, and certainly showed us how to do it. But as you can see, we've had quite a few people involved. We've had lots of different people from different backgrounds, and of course, some people who can use computers more than others. Some people have much more of an interest in streets than others. Some people who ride bikes regularly. Some people are obviously just local residents, businesses, etc. And everyone's fed in using our tool, which has been great. As you can see, we've used a big screen and projector in places to enable people to really see what they're up to. That's a suggestion that somebody came up with for a kind of floating loading way, effectively on a part of a widened footway for a scheme in Woodbridge. We also created some ideas ourselves. So this is a visualization I put together for how the London Road scheme in Copdock might look. And there's one of a new crossing in Felixstowe. If you want to find out more about BetaStreets, you can visit our website. There's a link to the trial to sign up there, and then to sort of register your interest and actually complete a survey and provide some information, which would be great for us to know. You don't have to, but you can follow that survey link on SurveyMonkey too. That's enough just for me for now. I thought we would have some questions if anyone has any, if there's any in the chat at the moment.
Yeah, thanks ever so much for that, John. That gives a real sort of starting point about what BetaStreets is and what you offer. We've had one comment from someone who working in a community, often having chats with town councils about the no mowing that happens on streets. Is there a facility or a way that you'll be able to develop what it will look like over the period of time that verges grow or grass grows? So you can, I don't know whether you've ever thought of that. So you've got a June, I think is what they said, or a sort of an early planting, and then as the season changes, about how it will look to help people understand.
You can certainly do some quite impressive planting with our tool, and you can actually vary the size and scale of all the plants yourself too. It's very easy. So whilst we can't necessarily sort of change the seasons per se at the flick of a switch, you can certainly vary the length and scale and everything of all the greenery that we have in our software. Again, we will happily show you in a sec, or Andy can show you in a sec how that works. So yes, absolutely. We kind of use the planting quite a lot in not just in sort of on verges and the like, but also in rain gardens and things these days too. So we've spent quite a bit of the last few years in London trying to identify locations where flooding does occur now, particularly when you have adverse weather, and therefore good locations where you can build into kind of existing parking bays and create some nice little mini gardens that then take the runoff, and obviously the plants use it to grow, and it prevents the risk of significant flooding in that local area. I mean, it's undoubtedly going to become more commonplace. Of course, it's not possibly so needed in rural areas, but I'm sure they'll start cropping up in Ipswich and Lowestoft and like, if not already.
That leads me nicely on to another comment actually about urban drainage, and someone saying they don't have expertise on knowing what they could add. Have you got a range of ideas that you have drawn up?
We have. I mean, again, we can show you kind of how the planting works. We've actually got a suds curb, so that's basically a section of curb with gaps in it, modelled, which is kind of how you allow rainwater to drain off the carriageway into a rain garden. We have those in the library, and again, we can show you how you can kind of select those and use those to build rain gardens. So yeah, I mean, we've got plenty of bits in the library as well that you kind of include in rain garden, be them granite rocks and a few different trees and all kinds of different plants, bits of old log and the like, again, for kind of creating sort of incidental play, and of course places for people to rest and the like too, and actually maybe enjoy the wildflowers if they're allowed to grow at the right time of year and somebody hasn't come out and chopped them down before.
Brilliant. So maybe we can help that person have their question answered a bit more.
Yeah.
Within the sort of interactive bit that I think Andy's going to go through in a minute. That'd be absolutely fabulous. So one last thing is there's comments about active travel. I think you've shown it a little bit, but if you want to change priorities or to say that you'd like a pedestrian area instead of I think this is what it was, instead of traffic going through. Is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, we kind of built our software really with, obviously we have to have the legal lines and signs in the library because people need those to design streets. But actually what we've kind of deliberately done is kind of make it so you can actually be as creative as you like. And if truth be told, it's a bit of software, you could use it for putting a road through a park, dare I say it. But on the flip side, you can certainly use it for showing how it might look like if you pedestrianised the area outside the village hall, or I don't know how, even if you just wanted to maybe use a different colour surfacing to kind of say welcome to the village, slow down, which of course works in lots of places, maybe a bit of section of buff anti-skid on the way into the village, along with the signs that say, the gateway treatment effectively. We have all that kind of stuff in the library. Again, Andy can give you a bit of a general kind of demo. I think is probably the best way for us to go, and then of course we'll gladly show rain gardens and the like too.
Great.
And if there's any other suggestions, as I say, as we go on and people are kind of inspired as we're drawing and think, maybe does it do this, does it do that, please ask us, because if it doesn't do it, you might come up with a really good idea that we can steal.
That's fantastic. Thanks ever so much for answering those so far, John. It's been really enlightening to visit the possibilities through the questions.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well, let's say we like to think hopefully the possibilities are relatively endless. So, if it's in the library and in the software, you can use it. And as I say, particularly with kids and people kind of using our software, we love the fact that quite often they decide to maybe close a street and turn it into a playground, and whilst of course other people might not be quite so pleased with that, that's exactly what probably the conversations we do need to have about towns and places and how we may change them in years to come, because of course the world's an ever evolving and changing thing, and actually we do want plenty of places for people to spend time outdoors, and multi-generational and everything else too. And again, I think, you know, for everything that we did learn through COVID, we certainly learned that, you know, space near our house and space where we can kind of socialise with our neighbours is really, really valuable, particularly if you're not blessed with you know, big gardens and the like not everyone is.
Yeah, there's that comment that we are very traffic centric, and sort of maybe this sort of software will help us move away from being so traffic orientated to being people and place rather, you know, and enjoying nature. Okay.
Well, and I think the more people that can suggest things and feed into those processes, the better, because I think quite often, you know, as designers of schemes, we as an industry go and try and do things and we think we know best, but of course we don't live there. We don't, you know, we're not the people who use that street on a day-to-day basis. And actually, you know, if lots of people do want something really different, that if they tell us, you know, the industry will try and include that into things. And I know Suffolk are trying to do some great stuff at the moment, but again, it involves people getting involved in that process and speaking up and saying they do want change, because otherwise it's easy just to do stuff that looks like stuff that's there already. You know, it's a bit more difficult to change stuff.
The reminders come through that make me smile is don't forget your street furniture license. So you can't just go and plonk, you know.
No, with sandwich boards and the like. Yeah, I mean, again, it depends what we're talking about, I suppose. But yes, you're absolutely right. We need there are regulatory frameworks that people need to abide by. But again, we're trying to make this fun, and of course, we don't want to stifle people's imagination by saying you can't do that without a traffic order. But anyway, I will be quiet now and hand you over to Andy for a bit. Okay, thanks everyone.
Hey guys, I'm just going to share my screen. So there's a link, and hopefully everyone's got this link, but we can put it in the chat, I'm sure. And it will give you access to this preview sign up version. It's totally free. You just need to put an email address password in, and it will send you a confirmation email, which you just need to click confirm, and that's all you need to do. Once you've done this, you'll get a homepage like this. So this is BetaStreets.co.uk, and you just have to click go to app. Now you might find it takes a little bit of time to load in the first go. Someone's just put the sign up link in the chat there. Perfect. It might take, say, maybe 2-3 minutes to load on first go. Once it's done it once, you'll find it be a lot quicker. Just bear with it. This is what you'd be greeted with once you're logged in. Now there's open map, load file. Now I'll just do some really basic stuff. You don't have nothing too complicated. There's a help option here as well. Now if that's ticked, it will open up the help, which will guide you through how to create an image. I'm just going to untick that for now. And it's got videos as well, so it's got a whole list of videos on YouTube it links through to, and it will show you how to do things step by step. I'm just going to turn that off for the purpose of this. Click open map, and as you saw in the video that John showed, you'll get a map-based system like this. Now, these pink roads are where we have the data capture. There's also additional data capture with these orange discs. Now, we're sort of trialing out which works best. One capture is from Cyclomedia, our project partner, and the other capture is John on his bike. We're seeing how both works. Do they both work as well? So feel free to have a play and give us feedback on how that works. I just note this huge button down here that says feedback. Part of the trial, we're trying to get as much feedback as possible. All feedback's good, even if it's saying, you know, I couldn't use it at all. It's too complicated. You know, we want to know, we want to make the app better. It has gone through a lot of testing, but this 360 version has been created relatively quickly. So there's always going to be a few little bits. So it'd be great feedback from everyone if you can let us know. As John showed in the video, there is a comments button. Now, if you click this, you'll get a box saying comments, and you can type your comment in here. And this is just a general sort of, say you want you know a junction is dangerous, you can type that in and you can click add comment and place a marker. So if I just do like comment in here, I'm just going to add the comment, and then I'm going to click on the map and it will place that comment here. Now, no one else can see those comments. That goes to a central database, which we would share with Suffolk Council. We would review them and we can then approve them. They then get put on the site for everyone to see. So if we get a general consensus of a lot of comments coming through and we feel, you know, a lot of people would agree with these comments, we can put them live as John showed in the video, and then people can vote them up and down, really trying to get a feel of, you know, what people are thinking. You can also upload an image as well. Now, with upload image, you can, this is your own images. So if you live on a street and you want to show us something, show the council something, you can click to add image, and it's the same process, upload it, and that will get sent to the database as well. Very simple. You'll get this feedback. You might have noticed we want feedback, and this will pop up from time to time. You can turn this off. Don't show again, it won't pop up again. So that's the comment system. I'm going to show you, I'll show you the two sets of data and how they work, how to place some really basic objects, and then I think probably we'll get John back involved and we'll come up with a few locations and do a little bit of design. Now with the pink road data, I'll just zoom out and show you what we've got. So it's all, actually John showed this before on the map, didn't he? But it's all these roads around here, sort of the Woodbridge area, these lanes. And to access this data, it's very similar to a well-known mapping system, Google, where you zoom in and a little man will appear, person will appear at the top. You can drag this person and place it on the map, and that image will load. And it's very similar to Street View. The only difference here is if you have a middle mouse button, you can click that to move around. If you don't, you can press the left control on your keyboard and then you can pan around. Once you're in that image, you'll notice a variety of buttons across the top, which we can go through, and also a list of products on the right here. And you'll see things like bollards, curbs, cycle products, and we've also got products from actual suppliers. So companies called Cycle Hoop, Falco, Meristem. You might not know them, but they're pretty well known sort of street furniture products. I will show you how to put something really simple in. I can press the bollard and the bollard will follow my mouse and I can place it in the object, in the image. And then it's there. We can move around and it stays in its same place. I wouldn't suggest putting a bollard there, but I'll just do some examples to show you how easy this is. We can turn things like shadows on. So if we want to make it a little bit more realistic, add a shadow. We can move that shadow, make it longer or shorter, rotate. If it was a nice sunny day, well, we can try and match it with the car there. If it's a really sunny day, there we go. Just a bit of added realism. Very simple to use. Within this list, like I say, there's loads of things like EV chargers. Products on Falco range from sort of bins to benches, fence panels. Meristem have lots of things like planters, seating. Have a look, flick through. I mean, there's loads of stuff in there. We'll go through plants and a bit more detail in a minute. Things like people, we've got 3D models of people. So if you want to add a cyclist, it's a case of adding a cyclist. Across the top here, you've got move, rotate, scan roll, and copy. Click rotate. There you go, we've got a cyclist in. We've made this hopefully as easy as possible. But if it's not, like I say, let's go. To delete an object, you do it in the layers menu. There's a layers button up here. Click layers, and when you hover over, say, the bollard, you can switch it on and off, or you can delete it. I'm going to delete this person out. You can also isolate an object. So if you've got loads and loads of objects in here, you can click this button and it will just keep that bollard on the screen. I mentioned plants a bit. Things like play equipment, really good fun. Like we've had a lot of kids use this, and they're straight in the play equipment. I'll show you how this works, and you can put swings, slides, seesaws in your street. Okay, you want to do it, a bit of fun. If you've got some open green space, it's definitely good to use. Road markings. We do actually have the full TSRGD catalogue in our main product. We've chosen sort of the top ones we think are the most use. Again, let us know if you think you would want other ones in there. It's the same with signs. We've put sort of the most used ones in there. We do have access to the whole catalogue. You can do shapes. That's if you want to make something like a school street, something like that. These are just like shapes put on the ground. Signals, street lights, trees. I can do some demos on all this a bit. Vehicles, there's some basic cars in there. I'm just going to do this bullet. Right, so that's one set of data that I showed you there. You drop the person in. Now, as John mentioned, we've also been capturing other data on bikes. Now, this is these orange dots, and then to access this is slightly different, and I think it's slightly easier. So let us know what you think, but you just have to click on an orange dot rather than dragging them around, and you will get access to this data. I'm just going to move around. Let's go up. And it's exactly the same as before. Choose your object, place it in. It's as easy as that. Now, what is if you want to change the road surface or you want to build curb lines? Across the top here, we have a surface button, a curb button, and a road marking button. I will show you how these work. Let me do something here. If for some crazy reason we wanted to replace this drop curb with full height curb, we can use the curb edit, and it's the same. We can drag and drop curb lines, and it's simple as dragging a curb line across like this, just like that. If we wanted to raise this footway, we can place a piece of surface like so, and there's a button here that says up and down. This takes it to footway level, to road level. Keep it at footway level, and we can drag this across. Again, really simple, quick. We can make the shape more complex by clicking add, and it creates a new node, and you can make it a more complex shape. This default material doesn't really seem to match, so we can go into materials, click materials button at the top, and we have a selection of materials. Now, we've loaded a part of this trial, a very basic palette of materials, but we can load whatever materials in for that sort of county, country, wherever you're working. Let's put asphalt in, simple as that, click. John mentioned sort of rain gardens, planting. Let's go crazy, and we'll put planting in front of this drive. Put some grass in. We could choose plants, and we have lots of plants in this directory here. Let's put some grass in. Plants menu appears. Click surface, and the grass goes in. We can change the size and the amount. We can add a different plant in them. Again, the same. So you can see you can build up a planting very, very fast. There's also things like trees in here as well. So if you wanted to do more trees, you can add these in. Again, you can rotate this into place. So that's surface, curbs. I'm going to touch a bit more on curbs over this side. Say instead of removing a drop curb, you want to put a drop curb in, we can do that as well. So drag your curb in, and you can change the type of curb. Now there's drop curb, suds curb, as John mentioned earlier. There's Dutch entry curbs. I'll go through all of these. Drop curb, place it in, and it'll put the drop curb in. I'll just show you over here, but as you can see, again, I can change the material of these. I'm just clicking. There you go. As simple as that. So if you want to propose a drop curb somewhere, it's 2 clicks and it's done. And within that curb menu as well, and I'll just show you other types. If you right click on a curb or on a surface, it re-brings the menu up. So we could change this to, say, suds curb, which puts the gaps in, Dutch entry curb. So maybe we could put a Dutch entry curb across this existing drop. Simple as that. There's also a low upstand, which is low upstand curb. There's a drop curb with the tail on for crossings, and you can change that to tactiles if you want to create a pedestrian crossing. And there's also a wall function, which I will show you now. Let's say we want to put a brick wall in. We can choose the wall, and we can make this higher or lower. Again, materials, there's a wall function. Let's choose bricks. There you go. Again, you can add, just like before, and create things very fast. Line markings, very similar to curbs. You can click and drag, and it will create a road marking, hopefully. Oh, let's just flick off. Let's just view. Now, the road markings are actually labelled in TSRGD numbers, and we were made aware of this recently, and this will be in an update because we appreciate a lot of people might not know what the TSRGD number is for the road markings. So, and just on that, the app will update continuously over the trial period. It's probably only going to be minor fixes, but if people do want functionality, we'll try our best to include that. Centre line, let's re-put the centre line in, and it's just a case of clicking and drag it. And it goes to centre line. You can do yellow boxes as well if you want to put a yellow box junction in. I mean, that's it. Very, very quick functionality there. I will go into some other features here. Lines flipping out. If you want to remove something from the image, so when we first launched, I think the Google Pixel phone was being advertised on TV, and everyone was saying we want to be able to do the magic eraser. So we had to implement it because everyone was asking us. So there is an object removal. Bring up another menu, click draw, and you'll get this white dot for your screen. So if we say we want to remove this bin, we just have to color it in, click remove, and just give it a few seconds. It will do a little bit of machine learning, and hopefully the bin will disappear. There you go, bin's disappeared. So if you want to remove vehicles, remove anything really, and replace it with something else, it's a great way to do it. There's a measure tool feature in there if you want to measure things, and then zoom. Again, pretty much what it does. That's BetaStreets summarised very fast. I appreciate it's probably quite a lot to take in. I think it'd be good if we could bring John back. and then we can maybe do a few design ideas. Does that sound right, John?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I think that shows us certainly some of the range of things that from even the town parish councils who want to show communities and residents some plans that they've got. But I think also if we turn it around the other way, like you're saying, that communities can take ideas to town and parish or highways with this. It's a very visual, isn't it? That you can say, this is our idea, this is our community, and we've gone to the effort of looking at BetaStreets, testing it out, posing a few ideas. Are these possible? Which is really exciting for communities to be able to have, I think, a a way of reaching their town and parish councils with ideas and empowering to make changes. So to me, those sorts of things can mean that groups that I work with, for instance, can be very proactive in things that they want to change. So, for instance, can I just ask on a rural lane how you would go about saying we don't have either a cycle pathway or a pathway? Would you be able to add a whole pathway on the road itself, or maybe on a verge if there's not enough steerage for both cars lanes to go down? How would that work? I'm just interested in. It's one of those conversations. Thank you for pulling it up, doing it. One of those conversations I have with many groups is that to be active, walking, cycling, wheeling is dangerous on a road. So if you wouldn't mind, Andy, showing us that, if it's possible, that'd be great.
Yeah, I was going to say you could even go to, I mean, somewhere like London Road on the Copdock scheme might be an idea. It's quite a big space. There's some verges for us to have a look at down there. I mean, again, this is, you know, you can use the tool to kind of I suppose propose whatever ideas you have, but let's just, given the fact that this is quite an easy, a blank dual carriageway that's arguably surplus to requirements, it lets us have a quick draw here. So if you want to draw, I mean, if you wanted to look at maybe doing like some sort of step cycle track, for example, or even like a wider pavement. So basically you insert the curb tool as Andy's shown at the moment. You would offset, you know, the edge of the carriageway by the width that you wanted to do your footway or cycle track, and then you add the curb in like Andy's showing. It's then a case really of adding in the material that you wanted to use in a long strip. So similarly as we showed earlier, so that strip of material comes in, and that is basically the material patch. It can be changed to all the different things that we have, be it soil or whatever. In this instance, of course, if we're going to make it a cycle track, again for ease of people being able to see it online, let's make it a red cycle track, just because that's relatively easy for most people to see. I appreciate I might be speaking out of turn for anyone who's colourblind, so apologies if you are. But basically, hopefully you can see, most people can, how quick and easy it is to put a cycle track in like that along the side of the road. Has to be said, that could be tarmac, that could be a wider verge of flowers. It all works in exactly the same way, and then you just choose your material to finish it off. And actually, what's really, really handy, as Andy might be able to show us in a sec, is if and when you are deciding what material you might want to, and going back again to say, for argument's sake, you did want to think about how it might look on the way into a village or something like that, you can use our tool just very simply to click between the different material options and actually see what difference that would make if it was green or whatever instead of red, or of course if you're making normal carriageway a kind of buff color or something to suggest that you're entering a village and you want to slow down. The same principle applies to the planting too, as to be said. And if it's footway, you just pick the grey. But you can probably see quite how quickly and easily, again, you can introduce a cycle track along there and show, or at least show how how it may look if you did it. That's how it'd look in Birmingham if you were doing a blue one rather than there's a green one from Manchester and other parts of the world. I'm trying to think what colour. I think Ipswich actually has some green ones. Does certainly have some red track around Kesgrove and the like. But anyway, again, I'm a red cycle track purist, but not everyone else is, and some people don't like colour, and some people might, you might decide that actually want something paved. But again, our tool does give you that flexibility of trying so quickly, just with the click of a button, how it'd look. And actually, what we found in kind of collaborative design environments, that's really handy, because people go, well, what if it was red? And then you just go, well, it would look like that, and it's that easy. So yeah, so I mean, Andy's now showing like wider footway, probably, I think, going in next to it. And so again, you can see it very quickly how transformative it is. Now, of course, this is a relatively sort of rural setting, and of course, not everybody may agree that widening the footways and doing that in that way is the way forward. It has to be said, if you want people to walk and cycle along that road, you've got to do something like that, because it's a reasonably hostile place to be at the moment, given the speeds and things that people are able to get up to. And lots of people we spoke to in the events, and particularly those who had children, really liked the idea of sort of taming this corridor by introducing a cycle route. And again, the flowers, of course, and having that separation from motor traffic is really popular, notwithstanding, of course, the need to cut it and make sure it's maintained and looking as it should do in summertime. But again, hopefully you can see very easily how quick and simple it really is to do, to transform this, what is actually quite a quiet dual carriageway at the moment, into a place where there might be some people hanging out. And of course, if you put that cycle track in and wider footway, you will find that people will walk between Copdock and Capel a bit more than they do at the moment, I think.
I think having those people and cycles certainly helps as well.
It does.
Will you ever be putting a costing on this? So you've got X amount of area to retarmac. There's always the question, isn't there, of okay, we know the area. Do we know what the cost is going to be?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So some of the things that are in the library, where they're kind of things that you could just buy effectively off the shelf, they have their list price. Basically, we have the capability to know how many meters squared of that patch is. We haven't done it in this version, it has to be said, but we can kind of almost produce a bill out the back of the software. We thought it was more important to test the imagery and the 360 kind of compatibility, which is a real step on for us, because it used to be great pictures, but you had to go out and take your own photo and then you upload it to our browser, and that's actually still available as a version of our software. But obviously this is slightly different, where people can just immediately jump into a 360-degree image that we've captured on the project's behalf. So yeah.
One thought somebody's added, thinking about the increase in temperature that we're going to find in the future, with the 1.5, etc., is they've seen places that have vegetational canopies over, say, walkways. Is that anything that you can offer at the moment, or is that something?
So kind of pagoda type thing. I mean, we've got some, we've got shelters. We haven't got anything that's sort of nice wooden beams with sort of creepers growing over at the moment. That is, it's the sort of thing that we want to add to our library. So again, that's a great suggestion. I was just trying to think what we do have. Sorry. So we have nothing too nice looking, I'm afraid. But yeah, that's certainly something we would love to add to the library, actually. And on that subject, again, kind of depaving is one of the reasons that building those little rain gardens and the like. Again, it affects the urban heat island effect. It reduces temperatures by sort of depaving an area. Actually, had a complete curveball, but I did a long time ago when I was at Lowestoft College. I actually did I had my family out with thermometers measuring temperature in Lowestoft to see if there was an urban heat island effect. And even in a place like that, it's warmer in the centre than the outsides. And anything we can do to kind of reduce the amount of tarmac does have a bearing on that, and concrete and anything else like that, to be honest. Again, you can see quite how quick and easy it is for Andy just to drag a zebra crossing, or obviously anyone else even wants to have a go, drag a zebra crossing over there.
So I'm just making stuff up here.
Yeah, I was going to say context and everything again. Some people would say you put a zebra crossing out there, and we would probably agree from a professional perspective, but just to show you how this kind of works and just how easy it is to do stuff. But yeah, I mean, the planting bit we do know is, it really is fun and it's nice. And to think about the fact, particularly that you are, depaving and probably reducing the amount of flood, or coming up with an idea that might reduce the amount in area of floods or reduce the temperature kind of even in a relatively small amount. It all counts. And of course, the urban heat island effect only happens because there is so much concrete in places. And if we all depaved our little bits as best we could, then it would have a massive impact. So yeah, great idea. And as I say, something certainly that's on our roadmap to kind of think about how we can even help people quantify, how even maybe the impact of how many meters squared you might, stop flooding or whatever it might be from the things that people create. But that's a little bit way down the line on our roadmap just at the moment.
There's a comment from a town council that they've got a little area of verge on one of their road going through an estate. Now they're saying that they don't have an awful lot of community engagement, and this is the only place that they can see that they can have community growing. Is it possible to send it out to, and I think we'll find ways that it is, to residents to then bring their ideas of what they would like to do with that patch?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anyway. Yeah, absolutely. So for the next, I mean, for our selfish purposes of including what people say, we've got basically till the end of February that people can play around and use the tool and kind of go away and use it at your leisure whenever you want. After this webinar, we'd love anyone on the call to to sign up and have a go. As I said, we haven't got everywhere in terms of like the 360-degree imagery. If there is, particularly if it's a town council or a group of residents who really want somewhere captured, we will try our best. I find myself out in my Brompton in random parts of Suffolk that even as a Lowestoft lad I've never visited myself personally before, but I'm more than happy to do it. It's not a million miles away from where I'm based, so let us know, and provided it's in the next couple of weeks, we'll try our best to get out there and get it for you. But yeah, again, we hope that obviously we've got quite a bit of the kind of area that people know, and or at least places where people can have a play around, places they know, and they can have a go with the software and see what they think this time around. But as I say, if there's anywhere really specific that we haven't got that people do want, please either drop us an email or maybe they could get in touch with you and Izzy and let us know that way.
Forward that, and it's always nice to know that our Suffolk residents can help your fitness levels, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep me out of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're coming to, the hour of being here. Just on the side of, if anybody's got technical issues, they can get straight in touch with you.
Absolutely.
And as you said, use that comment box. So that's really useful for any ideas or any difficulties. We've certainly found these guys at BetaStreets really easy to contact. So please do feel that they're there to chat with you about any thoughts or issues.
Absolutely. And no comment or question or anything is too stupid. Please don't feel like even the login process. We look at it so much that we think it works perfectly, and of course that's where we get a bit blinded by thinking we've created something great and no one else is going to find this clunky. So if it doesn't make sense, if it doesn't work, if whatever, we want to know, because as Andy said, because it's browser based, we continually update the app. We're God knows it's version 50 something that we're on over the 3 years that all the updates we've done, and that's purely been on the back of people telling us what they think. So we really do value your input, whether it's kind of constructive criticism or obviously much more preferable telling us how great we are and how much you love it. But of course, if you do have issues, please tell us, because we want everyone to think it's great, not just us.
So thank you very much, John and Andy, for coming in and introducing us to BetaStreets. And I certainly feel that from our part, we can, trial it. Please do have a look at downloading it and seeing how it works for you and giving feedback. Taking those individual pictures and uploading them for the area if it's not covered. And having a play around. I think that again is a really good functionality for anybody who hasn't got their space photographed and images up there, but also let John and Andy know if you've got a particular area you want some work doing on. I think of the three outcomes or inputs that I'm sure BetaStreets would love from us. We really want to thank you guys for your time and effort to come and share what you're doing with us. I do hope that people will take up, the challenge of having a go.
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah, and we'd say, whilst we've got to report back to the Department for Transport and people sort of the end of February is kind of for us the reporting timescales that we need, so we're going to take what we learn at the end of February away. But given the fact that we built this thing, and again we want people in Suffolk to use it, we're going to keep it open, and you can carry on until end of March. I think is probably where we need to draw the line. But we want people to use it, and we want we really believe in what we do as an industry, and we've made a design tool that we hope will enable more people to get involved in that. And it would be a shame to cut it short, So no, please do sign up and crack on. Try and get something done by the end of February, but if not, you've got it to end of March anyway.
Well, we all know what we're going to do tomorrow.
Brilliant. Yeah, I was going to say if it's a moody weekend, you know how to keep yourself entertained.
Absolutely. And just to conclude today's webinar, after this thought-provoking and useful platform that we can all get into, don't forget that we have got other sessions coming up. Our comms team have been busy organising 8 other now webinars throughout the year. We've got that 2025 series, which you can find on the Greens County or Green Suffolk website. I don't know whether Izzy in the background has been able to put down the link in the chat. And there are some really interesting other infrastructure and organisations such as UK PN, Power Network, and National Grid, Environment Agency, someone from Rivers and Waters, that again, like this, enables your community, your project, to go ahead and provide some connectivity with other ideas, tools and resources out there. So likewise with BetaStreets, we look forward to seeing you in the next ones. And we've thoroughly enjoyed our evening with you two guys. Thank you very much for coming along. I'll say
thank you very much for having us.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time on our next webinar, or indeed contact us in between.